Hello friends, welcome back to the Craft Castle and happy 4th of July. It is Independence Day. Today we're going to learn how to make this multiple layer wood sign for our Glowforge using a free design program that I love. I use it for all of my laser cut files. It's called Inkscape. So if you don't have that, go ahead and download that right now, but this is going to be a free file and we can learn how to make our own SVG files for free so we don't have to pay for anything. This is going to be the finished file. There are 2 layers of wood, one full circle backer piece, and then everything that's going to be built on top. And we're going to learn how to do like insets like this. These are all little stars that I have placed back into here. I mean, it's so stinking cool. And the beauty of this is that we're going to learn it on a free program. I love everything free. If I can do it for free, that's why I love making my own SVG files. So let's get started. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller and put myself over here. Okay, so this is Inkscape. If you don't know what Inkscape is, like I said before, it is free. Now, people do sometimes complain that it's a little archaic. Yes, it is. However, it is free. So I just learn how to deal with certain aspects of this program just because it's free and you don't have to buy an expensive design program, especially when you've already purchased a Glowforge that is quite a bit of money. It just kind of sucks that you have to spend more on an expensive design program. Okay, so all we're gonna need is a basic circle right now. So why don't you just click this little circle tool and we're gonna draw a circle. It doesn't matter if it doesn't look like a full circle right now. We're going to change that. Then go back up into your arrow key and change this over into millimeters, into inches. If you're a millimeters type of person, keep it that way. I am not. So I am going to change this over, make sure it's unlocked, and I'm going to do 10 by 10. And then just press enter or tab. We can resize this to any size you need at a later time, but just for right now, let's just do 10 by 10, just because then it'll fill up our space. So in this sign, we're going to need one of the corners of the, right here, this corner is going to need to be cut out of this circle. First, let's take our actual circle and duplicate it, which is Command D on your computer if you're on a MacBook. And we're going to drag that over. We don't need that. That is technically going to be our backer piece. That is going to be this very back piece right here. And then make sure you can send this to the back. Now let's go and cut in that little square for our stars. So just come over here into your rectangle square button, click that, and just draw a square. Again, we don't have to worry about size right now because we're going to fix that. So just draw in a rectangle and then come up here and press your arrow key. The square size that we had made is 10 by 10. So we want a quarter of this, right? So we're going to do 5 by 5. So it's going to be a quarter of our circle. Now click this, your square's already highlighted. Press shift on your keyboard and click the circle. So you have both things highlighted and come over here to the selection area. If this has not already popped up, you can click this button right here and this will pop up. And then we're gonna align it to the left and align it up top. Now what you want to do is come over here to path and then press intersection. No. I always get these messed up, which is great. If you mess up, you can just undo. So we're going to click the box and the circle and it's division. There we go. So now you're left with the little pie shape, and then this is what's going, this little circle, like weird circle that has it cut out right here, that's going to be your stars and stripe. So it was division. I did remember. Right when I pressed intersection, I knew that was wrong. Okay, we're going to work on the stripes because that's going to be the easiest. Come over here into this line tool. This is going to be your straight line tool. And we're just going to take a line from one side of our stripe, like the pie, the half-eaten pie. We're just going to click, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to click on the other side. It's okay if it's not straight because we'll fix that here in a second. And then after you click and you have like this extra thing that's going on here, don't worry about that. Just come and click this arrow tool. Okay, zoom in. Zooming in is this on your trackpad if you're on a laptop. Okay, you can see when we zoom in that this line is not straight, right? The box, you can see how the line is not straight. It goes from top to bottom, right? That's not straight. So double click that or just click it again. And then this arrow, it's like the rotating arrow. So bring that up just a little bit. So if you're going down, you want to make it to where it's straight. And do you see how this box is now straight and that line's like completely in the middle? That's exactly what you're looking for. Then when you're done, just click out of that. Okay, how many stripes are in the flag? There's 13. Fun fact for the 13 original colonies, if you didn't know that. So we're going to create 13 stripes. All you need to do is then duplicate this straight line, so Command D. And all we're going to do is you don't have to worry about evenly spacing this right now because we'll fix that in a second. But we're going to click both of those and then duplicate again. This is just the quicker and easier way to do it. So now we have 4 lines and we're going to shift and then click the rest of the lines we have, press duplicate, and we're just going to keep on keeping on. Duplicating again, and we're just creating all these lines. Okay, so now I'm just going to start selecting these and I'm going to just make them a little bit smaller so they all fit inside the circle. Again, the alignment of this and the distribution of your lines doesn't have to be perfect because we're about ready to fix that. Okay, make sure and select them all, and we're just going to squish this up a little bit. How many lines do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think we have one too many lines. Now that you have 13 lines, or what's going to end up being 13 lines, just click the lines that you have just created. We got them all clicked. Come over here into your align and distribute box. Remember, it was this thing up top. And then we're going to center that. And then down here is where the distribution is. And that's why we weren't worried about spacing, is because we're already going to, just a click of a button, it's going to distribute it for you. Let's see, make vertical gaps equal between objects, which is exactly what we're needing. And now all of your stripes on the insides are evenly distributed and perfect. Now we're just going to drag this over. Okay, and see how your lines aren't long enough for over here or over here. Now just take this tool and we're just going to make this bigger. You want to be able to cover your entire pie portion. So see how all the lines are bigger than the pie? That's exactly what you're looking for. Click the top button, unclick everything, click the top button, press shift, and then hold your pie. And then go back up into path and then press division. So now you're left with one piece of your pie. See, that's your one stripe. Then go into here again, your second line, shift and click on your pie, and then press division again. And you're just going to keep going straight down onto we get to the bottom. So now I just have one piece right here. This is one stripe, two stripe. This is my third stripe. We're going to click the line and do the pie, division. That's our fourth stripe. And then just keep moving down. So now that you've ran out of lines, I'm just going to take this last piece right here and drag it down a little bit, and then highlight all of your stripes that you have, and then go over here and distribute them equally so they're no longer touching. And that way you can make sure and count. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 stripes. That's exactly what you're needing. See, super easy. You got the stripes. Now let's zoom in a little bit, because now we're going to be focusing on that little pie part. That's where we're going to put our stars. And all we're going to need is this little shapes tool right here. You can create stars, triangles, you name it. Come over here and press that button, and then over here press the stars. Every star has 5 corners. Don't worry about this stuff right here, because you can fix that here in a second. But then when you have the star thing picked and your 5 corners, just click and drag, and all of a sudden a star comes appearing onto your screen. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so I can show you what I'm going to be talking about here in a second. After you get the star, it doesn't matter what size it is right now, because we can resize that here in a second. Come up over here into your arrow key, and we're just going to drag that over. See how it's like over and tilted to the side? If you click on that again, the arrows pop up for rotating, and then we're just going to rotate this to where it is completely straight for us. Okay, go back into the shape tool. Here is that shape that we created. If you wanted rounded corners for your star, you can come over here to rounded, and if you make it bigger, you see how it's like changing its shape. I mean, that was a little dramatic. So we can go down. Come on. There we go. Oh, see, my goodness gracious. It doesn't want to go super fast until I hold it down. Okay, so if you wanted rounded circles or like rounded edges, this would be great if you were doing like squares that had like rounded edges or whatever. If you want rounded edges for your star, you can keep it like that too. Again, the higher you go, the weirder your shape looks. Go lower, the weirder your shape looks. I'm going to keep this to 0 because I want no rounded edges. The spoke ratio and the randomize, I've never used them before, so I have no idea what they're there for. And then come over here into your arrow tool. Okay, work on the bottom one first. This is where we're going to resize. Hold down Control on your keyboard and then come here to the bottom arrow, and we're just going to make it smaller. And then drag this down. This is going to be your bottom row for your flag. And then duplicate that, so Command D, and we're just going to duplicate, and we're going to fill in that bottom row of your flag. So just selecting and duplicating. It doesn't matter about spacing because we can fix that with the click of a button, remember? Okay, it's okay if it's like hanging off on the edge. Essentially what you want is to fill this up, that bottom row up. So we're going to click all of our things, holding Shift and clicking them all. Come over here into your line button. We're going to align to the top, and then we're going to come over here and distribute them equal between all your objects. That means everything is distributed in between, all these spacing in between your stars are equally spaced. And then I am just going to put this like somewhere here. Now you can resize this if you wanted to. Like if you want more stars inside your piece of pie, you can just make it smaller. It doesn't matter, big, small, it up to you how you would like to space this out. Okay, press group. You can do right click and group, or you can do Command G on your keyboard. That is just, now you have it all in one line, it's grouped together, and then duplicate that. So for here, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna click up, and I'm going to drag this over, and then I'm going to kind of offset them, like stagger them. So then it's like completely center that way, and I'm just going to stagger it to where they're going to be in between, right? That's kind of how the flag looks, like it goes in between every one. It's not just like straight up and down, right? So we're going to stagger them. So we have that one. Now click on both of your lines and duplicate again, and then just with your arrow tool, your arrow button on your keyboard, just press up. Again, you don't have to worry about spacing. And we're going to then click on all 4 of those lines, duplicate, and we're going to go up. We're going to fill this pie up. Okay, we got it all filled up. Now unclick, and now click all your lines that you created. And then evenly distribute again. And that all your lines, all your rows of stars are now evenly distributed. If you're a stickler for the 50 stars, I know some people are, they're very big on sticklers on making sure that there's 50 stars in everything that they do. So if you're a stickler for that, make sure and count the stars that you have in the inside portion of your pie. If you don't have 50 stars, then obviously create more, make them smaller, you can readjust them. I'm particularly not a stickler for that, so I'm going to keep it the way that it is. So now all you want to do is you want to ungroup this. So it's going to be Command Shift and then G, and that's all of your stars are now individual things. Don't click anything. Now do Command Shift and the plus sign, and you welded everything together. Now with all the stars, I'm just going to take my cursor tool, I'm going to click, and I'm going to not only select all those welded stars, but also the pie That's what we're gonna slice into that. Now come up into path and then press intersection. So this is all the lines are gonna be cut, right? You see that. So this is gonna be like a small star. This one's kind of half off with the tip right here. And then all these are like half. That's perfect. Ooh, let's rewind. Go back for a second. We forgot one important part. We need to take that pie that we created and duplicate that because we're about ready to lose that. So we're gonna drag that up, put it right here. And now go back and zoom in, select both of these. Again, path, and then intersection. Then you can bring this guy back down. And all I'm going to do is now select both that pie shape and the stars. I'm going to come over here to the align area and I'm going to center it together. Now, if you wanted to keep it this way, you could. Everything that's going to get cut will get cut, but then like things will start hanging out and it's hard to tell. I will try and show you. But like in here, there's kind of like a gap in between. So everything's not going to fall out. You could keep it the way that it is and it would look fine. For me, I just kind of wanted like a little bit of a border. It's hard to line this up. And see how it's like not on the very edge. There's a little bit of a border. So I'm going to click on the stars that we created. I'm going to send my pie back because it looks like that was the pie. Click on the stars. Yep, that's the stars. Command Z to put it back in there. And I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. So it's Command Shift 9. And you see how now my stars got a little bit smaller, but there's like a little bit of a border right here. That's kind of what I'm looking for. It just will make it easier to line things up later for me, in my opinion. But some people like to keep it the way that it is. And I'm just going to center this. Make sure that there's an even border throughout. That's your sign, y'all. You've created a sign. We can highlight this and we can group this together. So all you're left with is what's going to be your stars, this portion, the blue with all your white stars, and then you have 13 shapes. Then you have your backer piece right here. Okay, go back. I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to delete this one right here that I was already working on. It's okay if it's hanging off the edge of your files, hanging off the project board, because it's not really needed when you load this up into Design Space. Now, it is important that you do this. It's not so much important for if you have a Glowforge, but it's just in good practice for if you decide to get a different laser cutter, that the lines and fills and stuff like that's all important. So all we're going to do is Command A or select all and come over here into fill and stroke. See how it says different? We're going to right click on the fill and we're going to remove the fill. And then over here in stroke, we're going to right click that. We're going to make it black. And then this number right here, right click that and put 0.1. And then we can unclick it. And now everything is the same line width and everything. It's pretty important that you do that if you have a different laser cutter. Like I have an epilogue, and if my lines aren't set this way, then my epilogue won't register that it's a cut file. And then we're just going to save this. You can save it. I'll show you how to save it. If you go into Save As, there is an Inkscape SVG, which, why is it doing that? Inkscape SVG and then plain SVG. We're going to click that and then, oops. What's today? 7/4. And then just press save. Okay, let's open up a new project in Glowforge and I'll show you how to set this all up. Okay, we're now in Glowforge. I'm not gonna turn my Glowforge on and cut this because I already have a file right here. But if you come up here into your arrow key and then press upload, then you can find your file and press return. It'll start to load right here. You would come over here into unknown and choose whatever material that you wanted to. And if it's grayed out or darker red, that means it won't be able to cut. But now you can see that everything here, don't resize anything. Make sure not to resize anything. But you see how like now you have 13 stripes, and then your stars and your blue portion are all grouped together. That's exactly what you're looking for. When you go and cut this, don't throw away your stars, because that's what you're going to need to go to fit back in these small little holes. So what you're going to be left with is this entire portion. Obviously it's not going to be painted. And then when you take this off your bed, make sure and not lose your stars, because that's the important part, to slot them back in to create this. This is like all seamless and there's no divots. That's what you're looking for. Now, if you wanted to resize this and make this larger or smaller, make sure you Command A, and you can also do this in Inkscape as well. Command A, and then that is selecting everything. Come up here and readjust it that way. If you only click this and you readjust this, it's going to throw everything else off. So always make sure that you have selected everything that's in that sign, and then come over here and readjust the size. So that means everything is going to be the same size. All right, y'all, I sure hope this was helpful and I inspired you to make. And again, happy 4th of July. Stay safe, and I will see you later.